Hey everybody, this is Doyle with Thinking Outside the Longbox, and I have Keith Boyle on the Skypes here with I Want More Comics and Thornton. You guys in Thornton, right?
We are.
I always forget the name of that small city. He agreed to come on here and just tell us a little bit about the Amazon Prime show Invincible. It's a Robert Kirkman created comic, which I found weird because I love The Walking Dead, but I just never read this for some reason. Like, it's always flown under the radar. I think I went to read it like a year ago and saw that it has like 1 billion issues, so I was just like daunted a little bit.
Yeah, it went pretty deep. He had it going at the same time. It was really good the weeks that we got both of it, like many years ago, because Walking Dead would always be this big depressing book.
Yeah.
And then Invincible could have the chance, like it's not every issue, but it could have the chance to be kind of like the uplifter. So we used it really good to like balance it out. And it was amazing watching one guy write both of these at high caliber level every single month and deliver on 2 totally different types of stories.
And so it's weird, like the cover art always made me think the book looked kind of hokey.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching the first episode and I was like, yeah, this is kind of hokey. And then you get to the end, guys, there's going to be spoilers. There's 4 episodes, but you get to the end, and then omni-man just like brutally murders their version of the Justice League. Yeah. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, it kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, like, I think he's the Red Rush or whatever he is. Mm-hmm. He's like breaking his hands on omni-man's like chest to try to get him off. And I'm like, this is one of the most brutal things I've ever seen.
Kirkman said that. He said this is the most violent show he's worked on.
He's not. Yeah, he's not lying.
It's just like no.
And so yeah, from there on, I mean, like from what I know, so which is only 4 episodes, it's a really cool story of like a kid coming into his powers. You have this what appears to be an anti-Superman. I don't know if he's being mind controlled. It doesn't kind of seem like he is. If he's bad, I've done my best not to look ahead. He definitely has some evil thing going on. But I love the thing that he did too with the backstory of, because I've always thought this about Superman, right? Mm-hmm. If they go to a yellow star and they're all super badass, why didn't they just all go out to like yellow star planets? Like, why were they chilling not badass on a planet where they weren't? So like that idea of like they know they're badass in other worlds, so they go to other worlds. I think they're badass all the time, but having his people do that, I mean, I don't even know if that story's true, honestly. From what we've seen so far, it kind of seems like he's hiding something. But what kind of got you into this? Because I saw you post on Facebook that you said this is one of your favorite books, or that you like it a lot at least. So that's why
it is. I mean, straight up, it's my favorite superhero book ever. I read for 20, it was almost 30 years of nothing but X-Men. Like, that was my jam. That was my thing. All I would read was X-Men and all this. Well, getting into owning a comic shop, you realize you got to be a little bit wider than that. So, of course, the first thing I'm going to grab onto is what everybody around me really kind of pushes. And all the owners at the time, every single one of them, totally into Robert Kirkman. I'm like, who's that? And then they point out that I'd already read some of his stuff because he'd done some X-Men. But the Walking Dead's where you start, and then Invincible's where you get into next. If you're really looking at getting into what was Kirkman's favorites, stuff like that. And this grabbed me really heavy because when you talk about a Superman type character, it was always difficult for me to care that much about the character who was just so overpowered that he could just do everything, right? And that's the mindset. Now, you read enough Superman, you understand that that's not the full story, but like when you're on the outside, that's just kind of what you feel about.
It's the gripe that you always hear from people.
Right. So this one, you've got the foundation, obviously super powered, no problem at all. These guys, they can fly. They've got super strength, stamina. Hell, you can see them in space. Like the limits are off for these guys, and it's established very early that his dad is the most powerful on the planet. So no problem in that direction, but they kind of like just real quickly start throwing you into a little bit of chaos, a little bit of like, again, Mark's learning his powers. So, like sometimes he falters with them. He's not, sticking a landing. They make a big amount of fun out of that whole thing in the TV show. But what the mystery is behind, and literally when we would pitch this, we would tell people, you got to read the first trade, almost the first 2 trades, to get a real good, solid impression about what this book is really about. So the real twist and the real and they're showing it to you almost exactly in the same pacing in the TV show that you would get in the comics. So it's really strong that they believe that that's the right way to feed this, and I think people are reacting to it real well. So handed it, had to read it, just got to luckily I got to power through, I bet, about 40-50 issues right there in the beginning when I was picking it up. So I wasn't, it wasn't so, none of it was slow to me. I was always getting to get to the next thing. But it's funny watching a TV show, I feel that same experience of like what was the wait like, waiting for the next part, like when a new issue was waiting to come out, and pieces like that. So it's good how they're delivering that. I mean, strategically, I think the pacing of the show is just amazing, and it really feels, for anybody who's into comics, and when you start picking up and reading the book itself, it's going to feel real familiar. It really is.
Yeah, I've been a long time comics reader. I'm a huge X-Men fan as well. Green Lantern, Hulk, kind of my big normal guys. But you instantly have a familiarity with this story because it's such a parody of other things that you've seen in comics before. But his spin on them are still like really unique and fun. Like, is it the Damien Darkseid? I freaking love that character. Like a demon private detective. That's amazing.
I just reread the traits, and so he's got a big trait that they left off of the TV show, I think for copyright reasons. But in the it's even more obvious as to who he's patterning him off of when he's running around in the comic going humph.
Oh yeah, he reminded me of Rorschach just right off the bat.
In the comic, he's literally saying humph.
Okay.
Humph. Like it's there. It's 100% there.
Alrighty, so that's good to know that I wasn't just seeing something there.
Nah, you're in there. You're feeding. I mean, Kirkman's obviously a fan of the medium. He's obviously a guy who's read a lot and done a lot, and he gets to play here in a couple areas where he definitely wanted two books that were against the grain, but had an idea inside of them. Right, Walking Dead. It's less about it being a zombie show, and it's more about the people. And even some of the evil between the people when you get into some of the characters like Governor and Negan and pieces like that. So with Invincible, you've got, superheroes, you've got a Justice League, you've got all those pieces, but now you get to see he's totally focused on that little bit of the human side. And I think the one thing I got in my little mental notes I want to go look up. I want to see the comparison about when he started writing Invincible versus when was Identity Crisis for DC, because that storyline was so much more about the heroes behind the scenes. Like a lot of it had to do with, like some of the personal life type stuff. And Invincible focuses a hell of a lot on that. You've got the home life. You've got the, like you said, the Flash character that you get to see him out on a picnic with his girlfriend. Things like that. You get to see those kinds of pieces there really well.
Yeah, it was really cool. You got to see like their version of the Martian Manhunter hanging out with like a homeless girl, figuring out how far he could stretch right before he was brutally destroyed. But so unfortunately, I will say, like, because I was looking at it, because like, as a comic book fan and collector, I was like, man, I never read this. I guess I got to start like reading it. It is quite expensive now if you're trying to get into it from the comics perspective. Are the trades still easy or not to come across, or are they kind of hard too?
Trades are wildly available. I think Image was really smart about this. They really stocked up the warehouse. We just put in a reorder for us and got a whole bunch of stuff in. I'm gonna kind of recommend that there's two ways to go on that. You could grab the first trade, which I think they moved it up to like a $12.99 trade instead of their old $9.99s or something like that. But you can get the flavor for it, and you can see how much it lines up to the show if you want to like dip your toe in. But they also, the real big one that they've got that I really love is called the compendiums, and the compendiums are 48 issues at a time and $60.
Yeah, so it's like just like the Walking Dead compendiums. Then
it is. He did that. Walking Deads were real successful, so he did it for Invincible.
Cool.
But if you really want to bite off a lot, and I really think there's going to be a lot of people when we reach the end of this season, the biggest disappointment is going to be that you don't have another show the next week because you just want to keep the story going.
Exactly. I mean, I think that it's really awesome that there is that much story, that this could be a long-running show. I don't know about long-running as Walking Dead, but I mean, maybe. It's pretty close. Like,
maybe.
It could be on for a while. But yeah, it will be disappointing not being able to have the next thing because it's kind of weird because like I'm interested to buy the compendiums, but I don't want to get because I haven't read them. I don't want to get super far ahead. It is kind of cool being surprised still.
Yeah, I can see it.
But so God, I mean, I don't even know what to ask next. I know I'm going to buy number 8 just because I'm a collector, and it's probably not an issue that's worth anything, but it's like the introduction of that demon character I was talking about, and it has a picture of Savage Dragon on the front, and I've collected all of Savage Dragon, which is nothing you should do because it's not worth anything. But
that makes it easier to get.
Yeah, I know I'm going to buy that one comic, but I might have to pick up the compendiums as well. So, is there any so obviously he's created his own world with Invincible. Are there spin-offs of this? Has that come out, or is there any news that there's going to be? Because it seems like you could tell a ton of different stories. There's an entire world of superheroes, essentially.
Well, and your fun is that Guardians of the Globe had their own series for a while. Invincible himself had shown up in different things like Tech Jacket. Invincible's got a crossover. Well, Kirkman at the same time was writing Marvel Team Up, and he's got a crossover into a Marvel Team Up book that he shows up for an issue. And so Guardians of the Globe is a natural one, though, that you could have that. In the TV show, Mark is talking about his favorite comic being Seance Dog. And Kirkman did a one-shot, and I believe he even came back for another one called Science Dog. And it is absolutely that character. He's just using a little bit different name. I make the joke that I think that when Amazon wanted to do this, Kirkman's like, oh, you want to use Science Dog? That's another one extra armored truck of money to bring up to my house. And they're like, no, we don't want to do that. And he's like, well, I still want to do this, so we'll just call him Science Dog. He just holds on to him so he can always use him again. So that's inside that same universe, and it's not super clear. Well, maybe it was, but I'm just missing it. But Kirkman at the same time also had Astounding Wolfman. That would have been another area. That one only ran about 25 issues, but that would be a story I could absolutely be seen telling in the exact same kind of cartoon way and all this. So, I mean, he's got an empire here. He really does if he wants to open it up and go with different characters. You're going to see a lot. I mean, there's characters in here right away. Alan, the alien, is something. He's a real thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, he's deep into this book for the next 150 issues, kind of thing. So it's cool. It's cool to see a little something there, kind of get flashed out to you, and then watch it go from there. So it's got legs, and I think that the first season here can match up with like the first 12 issues of a comic book real easy. But I think in the future you're going to see a lot more time jump, a lot more issues covered in, say, a single season, just because this is so much about the foundation, about the buildup, about introducing you to all the characters and setting the tone. And really, they're setting the table here for what I'm pretty sure is how the season's going to end up at the end. And it's there's just a major plot point that we all know from reading the comic is going to be about there, and it'll be great to watch it unfold on the TV show.
That is sweet. And for anyone who hasn't seen the show too, another thing I want to ask, if you've ever thought little weird things about superheroes, I feel like he's already explored so many of these in the first 4 episodes. Like, what would happen if Superman was pissed off at an entire planet? Like, you get to see Omni-Man just wreck the shit out of an alien world in a day, essentially. And it's just like, or what happens when the Invincible character, he goes to save this old lady for the first time, and he's way too rough because she doesn't have superpowers, and he basically breaks the shit out of her, and she ends up dying later on. Like, stuff like, real world situations that would happen if a superhero actually grabbed someone flying at top speed and fell into the street after getting shot, type of thing, which you never really see in DC when like Flash saves someone or Superman saves someone. You know what I mean? They're always perfectly fine.
It is very much the biggest point inside this book is how would a superpowered alien being handle the day-to-day of Earth? It is that's the central crux about what this is about. That's everything there, and you're going to end up also then the other side of that coin to get to see, on through his eyes is Mark, who's grown up Earth. Like he's known, his dad was powered for a long period of time. He expected to get his powers, but he doesn't have any other cultural bias. He's grown up exactly with the U.S. American teenager life. So his ideals and his pieces there will start showing through like this. Again, his first reaction when his powers were, I want to help people.
Yeah.
Like he is a true and good hero through and through. But now the entire point of the book was, let's face all the ugliness that could be around him and
Sure.
see what he did. What does he do next? Where is it going to go next? And that's everything that kind of happened into it.
And you already have it. I mean, it's already compelling. Like I said, 4 episodes in. So I think it's obviously going to continue in that streak. We're hitting about the 15 or so minute mark. I don't want to go too much longer than that. Did you have anything else you wanted to throw in there? Any other notes you had in your head?
I mean, most of it we kind of covered there. Again, about the truth to the book. I think it does really well for that. I think that I'm really glad actually talking to you about it, about how it sparks up your interest, because it's easy for me and guys, all that I talk to about this, to say, hey, this is exactly what we always wanted to see Invincible turned into. Ever since we heard there was going to be one, it's going to be there. It's great and all this. But you got to understand, from our side, we're always going to look at it as like, man, is it going to grab other people? Are other people going to care? Are other people going to find it engaging? And first, I think they did the excellent job of telling the story, the pacing, the plot, the elements, and all this, that I think it's available for people if this is their type of thing to get into. And the second, now proof through you, who, while you're 2 steps further than somebody who's just coming in off the street because you're a comic fan, but without knowing anything, it's delivering for you. And that's great to see. That's great, because there was a time that they made the jokes on the book. I think it was starting at about issue 100. He says probably the best superhero book ever. They just kept improving the statement. He was just messing with people. But the reality is many of us that are true fans thought, like that it was the best we could ever see in a superhero book. It was different. It was cool. We're happy with it and all this. And so I'm happy to see other people gravitating to. Everything I've seen has been a positive reaction to it. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who's seen it yet that has disliked it. And I'm super glad they went the cartoon route as well. I think this would have been not good had they tried to make a live action.
They're
maybe it could have been
still making it happen. So Seth Rogen, who does the voice of Alan the Alien, is working on a live action. Now, when we talk about Hollywood working on, we don't know how long that takes or if it'll ever will happen, but it would be interesting. I mean, the success of the cartoon might push that a little bit further. I just don't. I love the buildup that they've been able to put episode by episode and not lose, some of the flavor. And I think of a 2-hour movie, that'd be hard to compress all this in.
Yeah, it would be the pacing would be very hard to pull off, I think, in a movie, unless you were straight on committed to a multi-movie format, long, crazy movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think to me, it feels better episodic. I don't know the pacing, but
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
It's perfect for me. It's exactly the way I'd want it. Besides, at the end of the season, I'm going to get more than I would have gotten in just one movie. So I'm happy.
Exactly. And you did mention Seth Rogen really quick. If people don't know, this show is packed with super strong voice actors.
Good.
I mean, we got Mark Hamill in there. Who's the guy that does J. Jonah Jameson in the Spider-Man movie? I forget his name, but
yeah. So, wow,
he's amazing too.
But he's the father.
Everybody's in this movie, in this show.
It's funny because the best voice actor to me is the guy who plays Rex Splode, who I don't know the actor's name at all, but I could, I watched The Good Place and he was
He's a comedian, I know that, but I don't know his name.
He's just got a perfect tone for that character. It's amazing.
He comes across as annoying yet lovable, and that seems like what that character is. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. So the voice acting is super strong as well.
It is.
But don't want to go too long here, guys. You want to plug your shop real quick, Keith?
Yeah, so I'm More Comics out in Thornton, Colorado, part of the local scene out here and all this. We been here, we just passed our 13th year anniversary and all this kind of stuff. So thanks for having me on, Doyle. I mean, it was. I love this show. I love this book. I love this show. I love talking about it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, maybe we can do it again in towards the end of the season or something.
Wrap it up.
Or talk about other comics. So if you guys want trades or compendiums and you're out near Denver, Thornton, I Want More Comics is a super sweet shop.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, alrighty, man. Well, we're gonna go ahead and cut off here, guys. You can find us anywhere. Google, thinking outside the Longbox street. Google I Want More Comics as well in Thornton and find them. But thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope you have a very good day. Bye bye. Yep.